would it be cold? I just put it on.
It's not true anymore, but there was like a 2-year period. You were my personal the tide turned, I think you choose somebody else.
What is this to?
What's that? Yeah, if we get there, we're at the starter. Or we end up just taking a long pause. Which I'm not opposed to. What's that? I'm not opposed to. Let's do it. I was switching in these 2 photographs for 2 other ones. I don't know if they were fixed. I'm gonna take a look. What's on the drives? I don't know. Tell me.
You actually had a model.
Did we see it? Council, come forward. Real quick. We still have some. I just turned it on, so it may just take a little bit to boot up. Go ahead.
Good morning, Your Honor. How you doing?
No, open up, Pat, would you open up the, are we using the photos with this witness? No. Yes, sir. Okay, so open up the Elmo.
Oh, okay.
And turn it on. That's probably. Turn it on, Pat.
I did.
Bless you.
All right, do we have the monitors up?
Let's see if it stays on. For some reason, oh,
There we go.
Yep. That's
Go
fine.
ahead, counsel.
Yes, sir.
There's his own.
All right, and I want to go back to a photo that was previously admitted as State's Exhibit 14. It has previously been admitted, yes, sir. All right, sorry. There's a little bit of a glare that on the photo, but and if you okay, sorry. There's a little bit of a glare on the photo, but I was wondering, did you measure the bed?
The bed, no.
Does it based on like your recollection and the looking at the photos, is it approximately the same height as the bouncy horse?
Looks like it might be approximately the same height as like the saddle. It looks like the head of the horse is a little bit taller than the bed for sure, but.
Okay.
Your Honor, may we approach?
And is it a fair and accurate representation of the way the home looked that day?
It is.
Your Honor, the state moves for the admission of State's Exhibit 25.
No objection, Your Honor.
It'll be admitted. May I publish? Yes. And okay. On the previous photo, I think we showed the side with the bouncy horse. What side of the room is this?
That'd be the opposite side of that same bedroom.
And kind of on the right-hand side of that photo, what do you see in it?
It's kind of like a small children's like race car bed, and that the very extreme right of the photo is the edge of the main bed in the room, and then just to the left of that is the children's race car bed.
And then if you could also just describe what else you see in this photo.
Okay, and left of that is a dresser with a TV on it. Just in front of that is a couch, several pillows, and in front of that is like a circular lounge chair and like a round glass coffee table with several items on there also.
Right. As part of your search, did you collect any any phones?
Phones, yes. If you're looking at this picture, on the other side of the bed was a nightstand, and there was a cell phone on there that we collected. And then we also took a phone.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, sorry.
No, go ahead. Sorry, I interrupted you.
There was two phones, one from inside the home, and then one that Officer Wright collected from Mr. Casaus that she gave to me in the crime van.
All right. And so going back, you said it was on the opposite side of the bed, so I'm just going to switch back to the previously admitted State's Exhibit 14.
Right.
Can you see the nightstand you're referring to from where the phone was collected?
Possibly. I think it's right close to where those lamps are in the upper left corner of the photo there.
Okay. I'm now I'm going to show you what's been marked as States Exhibits 24 and 26. Do you recognize these photos?
Yes.
How do you recognize these photos?
Those are the phones that we were just talking about.
And can you tell us, are the phones different brands?
Yes. One is Kyocera, and I believe the other one's a Samsung.
And
one has buttons for the numbers, and the other one's just solely a touch screen.
okay, so they're obviously different phones.
Correct.
Which phone was the phone found on the nightstand?
This one, that's 24.
It's been marked as States 24.
Correct, sir.
Do the phones appear in the same or similar condition at the time they were provided to you, or you found them as part of your search?
Do they look the same in these pictures as when I found them? Is that what you're
Yes.
asking? Yes,
And they're a fair and accurate representation of those phones?
they are, sir.
Your Honor, at this point, the state would move for the admission of States Exhibits 24 and 26.
No objection.
They'll be admitted without. May I publish? All right, so I'm going to start with States Exhibit 24. And again, I'm not sure whether it seems to be worse glared today. Oh, is it this?
Dim those, Judge? I think it's these. Yes, Judge.
Why don't you just move, can you sort of twist the podium a little bit, and see if we can maybe twist it,
Oh, yeah.
the other way. That helps. All right, and so, sorry, that was States Exhibit 24. What are we looking at in this photo?
That's the top of the nightstand, a dresser with the phone right there on top of
And,
it.
Sorry, and just to clarify, this was the phone that was found in the bedroom?
Right, yes, sir.
Okay. And that was the same room as the bouncy horse?
Correct.
Okay. Do you recall which brand that phone was?
I believe that's a Samsung.
Okay. Now I'm going to show what's been marked as States Exhibit 26 and admitted. Which phone is this that we're looking at?
That would be the one that was given to me by Officer Wright in the van.
And again, there's some glare, but on the picture without the glare, can you tell which brand of phone that one was?
Yes, it's the Kyocera.
All right. As part of your search, did you ever notice any sort of ashtrays or cigarettes?
Yes, there were ashtrays with cigarette butts in them.
Do you recall where they were?
I think they were in that master bedroom on one of the tables.
Okay. I'm going to show you what's been marked as States Exhibit 27.
Oops.
Do you recognize this photo?
Yes.
And how do you recognize this photo?
That's like a close-up view of one of the ashtrays with the cigarette butts.
And is it a fair and accurate representation of how you found it that day?
It is.
Your Honor, I'd move to publish, or for the admission and to publish States Exhibit 27.
No objection?
Will be admitted without objection. And so what are we looking at in this photo?
That's a close-up photo of a ashtray with cigarette butts in it.
And it's kind of close up, but do you recall where this was found or where this picture was taken?
I think it was on one of the tables in that master bedroom.
As part of your search, did you find any drug paraphernalia in the home?
We did.
Where was that found?
It was in a trash can just next to the chest of drawers that was over by the door leading to the backyard by the rocking horse.
All right. And do you recall what you found in the trash can?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Do you remember what you found in the trash can?
Oh yes, there was a syringe, there was a spoon with some burn marks, some really small cotton balls, and a straw that was cut just to a couple inches.
And I'm going to show you what's in the market states exhibits 28 and 29.
Your Honor, we have no objection to the admission of those, subject to our previous objections, so.
Sure. 28, 29, they'll be admitted. Oh, so they're admitted?
That's what I'm understanding.
That's correct, Judge.
Yeah.
Okay. And so may I go ahead and publish then? Okay. So I'm going to show you what's been first marked as states exhibit 29. And what are we looking at in this photo?
Okay, that's the chest of drawers right next to the door, and then the trash can on the floor beside that.
And where was the paraphernalia found?
It was in the trash can.
And that the trash can we're viewing in this photo?
Right,
Okay.
correct.
And just so we're clear, that was the photo marked as states exhibit 29. And now I'm going to show you what's been admitted as states exhibit 28. What do we see in this photo?
Okay, starting from left to right, there's a small plastic baggie with small pieces of cotton. There's a syringe. There's a couple of metal containers that have burn marks. That looks like a little, kind of like a small, putty knife. That's a cut straw. Then there's a spoon, and it looks like some foil or something underneath it, and the spoon has burn marks.
All right. And based on your training experience, are these items that are commonly used with drug usage?
Objection,
Yes.
Your Honor. Objection, Your Honor. May we approach?
As part of your work as a police officer, have you been a part of situations where there were drugs and drug paraphernalia?
Yes.
Approximately how many times as part of your work?
Several times, lots of times. I was a field investigator for 3 years, so I went to lots of drug overdose deaths and things like that.
And was it common for you as part of your work to have to photograph both drugs or drug paraphernalia?
Yes, sir.
And can you give us a guess of about how many times you've been called to do to photograph or to document or collect drugs or drug paraphernalia?
Probably over 100.
All right. And are the items that are in this photo, are those consistent with the other times when you've been called out to collect or document?
Yes.
Now I'm going to show you what's been marked as States Exhibit 32. Neighbor? Do you recognize this?
Yes.
How do you recognize this document?
It's a sketch layout of the home that I drew on the night of the incident.
All right. And has the sketch been altered in any way really from that day?
No.
And is it a fair and accurate representation?
It is.
Your Honor, at this time, we move for the admission of State's Exhibit 32.
No objection.
May I publish? And so the writing on it's kind of small, so I'm going to have you describe it to us. And so I guess if you could describe the home based on the diagram.
Okay, starting from the bottom in the middle, there's the living room, and moving to the right, I labeled that one bedroom. That one's the one that looked like was kind of just used for storage. Moving further down was Omaree's, what looked like Omaree's bedroom, and I labeled that Vic for victim's bedroom. Above that, I wrote girl's bedroom. Then there's bathroom, closet. There's a small bathroom, a laundry room, the kitchen. Above the kitchen is the large master bedroom, and to the left of that is the garage, and down below the garage was the carport.
And so you kind of described that in a counterclockwise fashion, but just so we're clear, is this room right here the back bedroom where like the bouncy horse and the large bed was found?
Yes, sir.
And then just in front of it is the kitchen?
Yes.
And then this would be the living room?
Yes.
All right. And did you note kind of any of the cardinal directions on your drawing?
Yes, up at the top right corner, there's a N for north and an arrow pointing up.
All right. And so that would be the north-facing direction?
Yes.
Okay. As part of your search, did you collect any items?
Yes.
And what did you collect?
Collected the 2 cell phones that we talked about. We collected the officer's taser video cameras. We collected one of those like portable fire safe lockbox things from under the bed in the master bedroom. And we collected some like wooden practice swords and a baseball bat from the same bedroom.
All right. May I have a moment, Your Honor?
Yes.
Pass the witness, Your Honor.
Cross-examination.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
So I'm going to start with this alleged paraphernalia that you found in this trash can, okay?
Okay.
Let me ask you this. Are you a chemist?
No.
You're also not a drug recognition expert, are you?
No.
How many diabetics lived in that household?
Don't know.
You don't know.
No.
Now, when you you testified on direct examination that you are a major crime scene investigator, right?
Correct.
And a major crime scene investigator investigates, like you stated on direct examination, bigger crime scenes, right?
Right. Homicides, things like that.
Violent crimes, things like that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so you've been specially trained as a major crime scene investigator to be sure that you collect all evidence that's necessary for that investigation.
Okay.
Is that true?
Right.
And when you collect the evidence, you don't just walk in there blindly. You talk to people, don't you?
Yes.
Other detectives,
Sure, there's other detectives out there.
first responders.
I didn't talk to any first responders.
But you got the information from the detectives.
Right.
And that would be important to do so that you know when you go into the house what evidence you should be collecting.
Okay.
Is
That's
that
fair.
true?
Sure.
Okay. And when you go into the house after talking to the detectives, given your training, you are looking around that house and taking photos so that you can preserve evidence for future prosecution, correct?
Right.
And not only taking photos, but trying to find important items to take into evidence for future prosecution.
Right.
Right? And that's what you did here, right?
Right.
I mean, that's your job.
Yes.
And it's important to talk to other people and to be sort of cautious when collecting evidence because you may not know what you need in the future to prosecute, right?
Right.
So it's better to sort of get everything, and if you don't need it, you don't use it, right?
Right.
And here, you testified that allegedly you found this drug paraphernalia in a trash can, right?
Right. I remember reading that in the report.
And you did not tag the needles, right?
No, we just photographed them.
Let me back up and talk about what tagging means. Tagging is basically you see an item, so let's say this remote control mattered for some reason.
Mhm.
Tagging, you would grab it, pair of gloves, right?
Right.
Stick it in a bag,
Mm-hmm.
yes?
Right.
Seal it up,
Right. It gets sealed back at the lab, but
okay?
correct.
And then it's initialed that you collected it and put it into evidence?
Mm-hmm.
I need a yes.
Yes.
Thank you. And that's what we mean by tagging, right?
Correct.
Okay. And you did not tag this needle, right?
No.
You did not tag this spoon that you thought was drug paraphernalia.
No.
You did not tag this, and if I may approach, Your Honor, I'd like to put on that photo of 28.
Let it move up just a second.
You did not tag what you characterized as a straw.
No.
Okay.
None of that stuff.
So the foil, that also was not tagged?
No, none of the stuff in this picture.
All the stuff in this picture, you left it there, didn't you?
Right.
So you didn't even think it was relevant to your investigation, did you?
Well, I thought it was relevant to take a picture of it.
To take a picture of it, but not tag it into evidence.
Right.
Right.
Just to show it was there.
And nothing
Obvious.
in that photograph, which is State's Exhibit 28, was ever submitted for chemical testing that you're aware of.
No.
You did not test it,
No.
so you have no idea what that stuff is.
I know it's drug paraphernalia.
You know it is, but you didn't bother to actually test it.
It wasn't tested. No, it wasn't collected. It was just photographed.
And the spoon, that spoon that you said had burn marks on it, did you suggest or were any fingerprints run of that spoon to see who handled it?
No.
Okay. And what about DNA testing? Any DNA testing done on any of that stuff?
No.
And you described in your interview, when we talked to you about this case, during your interview, you described that those items that is in State's Exhibit 28 were in plain view inside that garbage can. Do you remember saying that?
I don't.
Would looking at a copy of your transcript help remind you of what you stated?
I mean, if they say that's what I said, then maybe it wasn't plain view. I
Okay.
don't
Would
recall.
looking at a copy of your statement help you recall?
Sure.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor? Go and take a look at that.
Sure.
You don't need to read from it, just see if that refreshes your recollection, that you found it pretty easily.
Oh, here it is, okay. Okay.
Okay, so you didn't have to really dig through that trash can to find it, isn't that accurate?
I don't see anything on here about it being in plain view, like you said.
Okay, did you have to dig through the trash can to find it, or was it sitting right there on top?
I think it was buried in there a little bit.
So you don't recall
I
seeing?
don't remember where precisely it was in the trash can.
Okay, you found no other drugs in the home, correct, or alleged drugs?
No narcotics, just prescription.
Okay. Now, these cigarettes that we saw in the ashtray, that states exhibit number 27. Now, cigarettes you smoke, you put in your mouth, correct?
Right.
Okay. And when you put a cigarette in your mouth, it's touching your lip, correct?
Correct.
Possibly getting some saliva on it, right?
Right.
Were those cigarettes tested for any DNA?
No, they weren't collected.
Can you tell us, as you sit here today, who smoked those cigarettes?
No.
Now, you stated on direct examination yesterday that what you saw on one of the coffee tables in the living room, you thought was a landline phone, is that right?
Right.
Do you remember stating in your pretrial interview with me that you don't recall there being a landline in the home?
I just read that when I was looking over it, and somebody asked me, were there any landlines, and I said I didn't remember. If there were, there weren't.
And while you were processing the scene, did you press the phone, the landline, to see if it worked?
No.
So it could have just been a phone sitting there for all you knew, right?
Could be.
The two phones, the Samsung and the Kyocera, I think is what you said, right?
Right.
Now, you were given those phones to tag into evidence, right?
Right.
And you conducted no search of those cell phones.
No, we don't write the
Objective
warrants.
here, may we approach?
Officer Stewart, you had the phone and you did not, it was never tested or searched, correct?
Not to my knowledge, no.
The bag of ice that you talked about yesterday, that you took a couple of photos of, and those were states exhibits 21, or 20, 21, and 22. When you took those photos, the ice was still solid.
It looked like.
And you took a few photos of the bedroom and the bed where Omaree was found, right?
Right.
And there was no blood on that bed that you saw?
No.
You would have taken photos of that if there were.
Correct.
And so just so I'm clear on what you actually did tag in on this case into evidence, you tagged the phones, the 2 phones,
Right.
like some toy bats or bat and some toy swords sort of thing,
There were wooden swords and like an aluminum baseball bat.
and this lockbox,
Right.
and nothing else.
That's it.
Now, you did the measurements of the house, and that was put in through State's Exhibit 32. What is the square footage of this home on Comanche?
I don't know.
So you never calculated that?
No.
May I have a moment, Your Honor? Thank you. Now, when you were at the house processing the scene, did anyone ever make any mention of to you of this towel that Mr. Casaus was drying his hands on?
Towel? No.
Okay.
Not that I recall.
So no one ever said to you, Mr. Casaus was doing something suspicious, drying his hands on a towel, and you collected that towel and put it into evidence?
No, I don't remember hearing anything about a towel.
Okay. Nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor. You mentioned the swords and the bat. Were these, could you describe these for us?
Sure, there were kind of long, what they call like Kimpo swords, like practice swords, like the length of a sword but made out of wood for practice. And I don't remember how long the baseball bat was, but it was like a typically length baseball bat.
All right. And so I believe on cross-examination, defense asked you if it was a toy bat or a toy sword. Were these toys?
I wouldn't call them toys, no. They weren't like plastic, they were wood and aluminum.
Defense also asked you some questions regarding the drug paraphernalia.
Right.
And one of the questions was that you didn't ask, or you don't know if anyone in the home was diabetic, right?
Right.
Is it your understanding that a diabetic would use a burnt spoon?
Objection, Your Honor. Foundation, speculation.
I believe it was dealt with directly on cross-examination, Your Honor.
Yeah,
Is it your understanding that a diabetic would use a burnt spoon as part of their treatment?
No, they wouldn't.
May I have a moment, Your Honor? No further questions, Your Honor.
I'll soon step down, thank you.
Thank you.
Release the subpoena.
Your Honor, we'll reserve just in case.
Detective, you're gonna still be on the subpoena, you may be called back later in the case.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
State, call your next witness.
Your Honor, the state calls Kim Brown.
Brown,
Spell.
Kimberlyrbrown.
Okay.
Ms. Brown, can you please state your occupation?
I'm an RN for the pediatric ER at UNMH.
Okay. And how long have you been working in that division? Do you have any prior nursing experience?
No.
Okay. And where did you receive your training?
CNM.
Okay. Do you have any certificates?
I have multiple certificates. EMPC, which is an emergency nurse pediatric course, a trauma nurse course, ACLS, PALS, NRP, and then just experience.
Okay. Did you see Omaree Varela on December 27th, 2013?
Yes.
And what was your task at
I
that time?
was the nurse that was providing care for him.
Okay. And what did this consist of?
I gave medicine, provided chest compressions, gave fluid, CPR, that type of thing.
Okay. Was there another nurse present?
There was Amelia Trujillo.
Okay. And what did she do?
She documented for me.
Okay. Was there a doctor present?
Yes.
And who was he?
The attending was Brian Upham.
Okay. Do you recall what time Omaree arrived?
No.
Okay. Would it help you to look at your record of the event?
Yes, please.
May I approach you?
Yes.
So 5:18 p.m.
Okay. And how did he arrive?
From via EMS.
Okay. What condition was he in?
He was in PEA, which he had electroactivity of his heart, but no mechanical pumping. So he was basically dead.
Okay. What happened first? And if you could just, review your chart to refresh your memory and then
Okay.
tell us.
So what happened first was he had a king airway in, which is something that they place in the field. We removed that, used a bag valve mask, and then intubated him with an ET tube.
Okay. Did he have a pulse?
No, only with chest compressions.
Okay. Do you recall what other steps were taken with him?
We just did chest compressions. We put in a central line and
Okay.
gave medication.
What kind of medications was he given?
Epinephrine, Narcan, and bicarb.
Okay. Do you know how many rounds he got of epinephrine?
4.
Okay. And what is that again?
Epinephrine, it's used to make the heart contract.
Okay. Narcan, what is that?
Narcan is used to reverse any type of narcotics that he may have ingested.
Was there any reason that he was given that medication?
I'm unaware of why we use that medication.
I think you talked about, was it sodium bicarbonate?
Mhm.
What is that for?
We give that for people that have been down for a while to reduce acidosis in the blood.
Okay. How long did your team work on Omaree?
From 5:18 p.m. to 17:32.
That would be 5:32,
Yes,
so about 14 minutes.
correct.
And what happened at that time?
The doctor called time of death at 17:32.
Okay.
At that point, we disconnect the monitors, and then We generally look at the body one more time and document things that we were unable to look at while we were resuscitating.
And after he was declared dead, did you have another task to do?
Yeah.
What was that?
I looked over the entire body and documented all of the marks on him, as well as lines that, you know, came in from the field, et cetera, so that we could document them on the nursing chart.
Okay. What do you recall seeing? If you want to refer to your chart briefly,
Okay.
refresh your memory.
I remember that he was really clean.
Mm-hmm.
He had no blood on him anywhere. I remember feeling through his hair and feeling bumps on his head, and he had some lacerations on his head. I remember he had some circular marks, one on his lip and a couple on his chest that are all documented here. He had 2 brown, like rectangular shapes over his, like above each nipple that had been there while they were like scarring, dark coloration. We have, he had various other marks on his arms, bruising on his legs, but the ones that really stood out were the pattern markings on him and the fact that he was so clean.
Okay. Were you present when any photos were taken?
Yes.
And tell us about how that went.
The police generally come in, and then we help them position the body and show them what we've seen, and then they take photos of everything on the child.
And did you assist in that?
Yes.
Did you point out things to the photographer?
Yes.
Ms. Brown, I have here some items. They're marked States Exhibit 33 through 51. May I approach the witness, Your Honor? Do you recognize these?
Yes.
And what are they?
They're pictures of Omaree's injuries.
And I see on those that there's kind of a purplish blue latex glove.
Yes, sir.
Whose glove is that?
I would assume it's mine, but I can't really tell from the glove.
And are these a fair and accurate representation of what you saw that day?
Yes.
Your Honor, the state moves to enter exhibits 33 through 51 into evidence.
Your Honor, I didn't have an opportunity to see them.
Would you like to review them with us?
No objection, Your Honor. Subject to our previous objections.
Be admitted.
May these be published to the jury, Your Honor.
Yes.
Showing State's Exhibit 33. What does this depict, Ms. Brown?
Some sort of laceration to the eyebrow.
Can you just make sure that microphone is up to you so we can hear you?
Sorry.
Thank you.
Some sort of laceration to the left eyebrow, as well as some sort of previous mark that's right lower to the left of it.
Okay. And this is State's Exhibit 34. What does that show?
That's another area of that I noted that was like a pattern. He had one that was the same shape and color as the marking on his left eyebrow.
Can you point that out?
Just on the screen? How do I point it out?
I'm not sure.
Can you do that?
I think if you touch the screen.
Okay.
Where it is, so an X or something. Can you,
Okay, great. Thank you.
how to clear that? I'm not, we've got to, I think you touch the screen.
Bottom left corner.
Bottom left corner, touch the screen.
I'm touching it.
Yeah, I let you touch it and come on.
Sorry.
You want to clear it, Mr. Marshall?
We're trying, I believe it's just kind of in the corner.
Okay, got it.
Technology. State's Exhibit 35. What do we see here?
This is the circular mark that I noted that was under his nose, similar to the ones that were on his chest.
Okay. .36. What do we see in this picture?
He has a head laceration here.
Can you, Mr. Jensen, sort of magnify that a little bit? It's big, you're doing really good.
More?
I don't know, members of the jury, can you see that?
He has a head laceration there. That was easy to find once we were done.
Okay. Number 37.
That's not a very good picture, but I'm assuming that's also a head laceration. Some sort of opening.
Is this the same one as before?
Can
You
I
wanna
see
look
the
at-
other picture again?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. .38. What do we see here?
These are the pattern marks that we documented.
Okay. Yeah, and you circled something up on the neck. What is that?
The one that I circled,
Yes.
I don't know what it is.
Okay.
The ones below appear like burns.
Okay. And also you spoke about some darkening around the nipples.
Yes, right here.
Okay. Oops. That was 39. This is 38. We already saw 38. Okay. 39.
Those are measurements taken of the pattern around the nipple.
Okay. And 40.
That's the pattern, but on the left nipple instead of the right nipple.
Okay. 41. What do we see here?
Those are the circular marks. I'm assuming just a closer view on the chest.
All right. This is 42. What do we see in this picture?
You can see all the stuff that we did for him. He's on the backboard, as well as it shows the swelling of his abdomen,
Okay.
and just the scarring.
And down at the bottom above the groin, what is that? Is that something you noted?
On the left side?
No, above in his groin area. Here, let me.
Yes. That we documented that as a bruise, and he does have bruising above his penis as well.
Was that similar to what you saw on the nipples?
No. The area over his nipples was like a dark pigment.
Mm-hmm.
This was more bluish, like bruising.
Huh, okay. Um, 48. And before we say anything about this one, I noticed there's some blood on this.
Yes.
Was this the way he arrived?
No.
And where did that blood originate?
That blood is either coming from his rectum or where we put in the femoral line on him. We tried to put in a central line.
But it is not from any injury he had when he arrived at the hospital, correct?
There was, on the lacerations that we noted, there was no blood coming out of them.
Okay. Did you see any blood on his body?
No.
Okay, thank you. And what's being portrayed here?
It looks like a scar of some sort and the measurement of the scar.
Okay. And this is 44. What do we see here?
That's also a scar of some sort or a bruise.
And this is on his,
That's on his left scapula, so on his left upper back.
okay, thanks. Number 45. And again, this blood that we see in this photo is not from any injury that he had when he arrived, correct?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
But we did do chest compressions, and that increases intra-abdominal pressure. And
Mhm.
so any blood that may be inside the body, we can push out the rectum as well, just from the compressions.
Okay. And what does this portray?
That portrays either a birthmark or bruising.
And this is on his lower back?
Correct.
Okay. .46.
That's measurement of either a scar or a bruise.
Okay. 47.
Same thing, either a scar or a bruise.
And where is this?
Hands, come forward, counsel. Thank you. Please be seated. We'll go off record. Cameraman, when you're panning over here, are you not getting, you're not getting any of the jurors in it?
No, Judge.
Or you're not getting the notes on the table here?
No, I just gave the script.
And over here, you're not getting any of the notes?
No notes.
All right, well, let's take a brief recess.
One other issue, I just wanted, and I think we discussed it earlier, I just wanted to make sure none of the images of the deceased child, I thought those were things that were not supposed to be published by the media. I thought that was something we talked about.
Yeah.
But I want to just make sure that it was being done, I can't tell behind me.
They were already published yesterday,
Yeah.
and the panel cams all over the news and
Yeah, I know. But from this point forward, I would prefer and I would request that you not show any of the photos of Omaree, please, or any of the children. I think that was the instruction yesterday, so I'm gonna have issue with the cameraman yesterday. And for today, please, no other images on, so block your camera, bring it forward or something.